No, that's the First Amendment, right?
Not over here.
Okay, you got your ID on you?
I got Fourth Amendment, man.
Fourth Amendment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you do. I understand that, but there's also state law stating you have to provide form identification.
Do you have a sergeant on duty, actually?
Yep.
Anything you can see from public, you can record.
Not necessarily, because as far as Georgia consent law, it actually have to have both.
There's no consent?
Yeah, there is.
Only in restricted areas.
Okay.
Possibly get updated on the Constitution.
We're very well up to date on the Constitution.
That's good.
You also need to get updated up on the OCGA of annotated codes of Georgia as well too. But understand this: there is a law that states that you have to provide some form of identification.
No, sir, there's not.
Yes, there is.
Welcome back to Legal Dissent, where we evaluate your constitutional rights before they're taken away. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, if you enjoy our content, please do consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and interacting with us in the comments below. It really does help us out a lot in the YouTube algorithm. Links to the original video, channel, statutes, and case law are located in the description. If you have a video that you would like us to review, please send it our way. You can find all of our contact information as well in the description. A subscriber submitted this video from Durango the Clown. Please visit his channel and let him know that Legal Dissent sent you. Durango the Clown was conducting a First Amendment audit at the Habersham County Law Enforcement and Detention Center in Georgia, just a little under a month ago. He's filming the exterior of the building from a parking lot that is open to the public when he is approached by a woman claiming that he was not allowed to film on that side of the building.
I'm recording the facility.
What?
I'm recording the facility. I don't answer questions.
What?
I don't answer questions.
You can't be on my admin side taking pictures.
Do what?
You cannot be on my admin side taking pictures.
No, that's the First Amendment, right?
Not over here.
There's no restricted area signs.
You cannot be over here taking pictures.
Where's the restricted area sign?
41. Okay. I'd probably go ahead and call and get a deputy up here.
What's your name and badge number?
Corporal McDaniel. You can't be over here on this side taking pictures by the admin side.
Well, they should have a restricted area sign.
Area, but you cannot come over here and take pictures.
They should have a restricted area sign.
Sorry. I'd advise them to not take pictures and he wants to argue transit public area and then he can do what he wants.
I didn't say that. But got it on camera. Okay.
We have discussed many times before how the First Amendment establishes your right to record audio and video of events and items that have no reasonable expectation of privacy. If you, your car, or your building is able to be seen from the public domain, then it is almost always able to be filmed with no legal implications. Therefore, this auditor is able to film the exterior of the building unless he has entered an area that the public is barred from accessing.
What's up, man? How's it going? Not much, just recording the facility.
Touring the facility?
Guess you say so.
I got you. Alright, did you get permission from the sheriff and all that?
I don't need permission. It's First Amendment.
Actually, being private property, you kind of do need permission.
This is public property because government funded.
Not exactly, dude.
Yes, sir.
There's too many private things going on up here.
Well, you hiding something?
No, we've got personal information up here that you can't see, that you're not allowed to see, not without open
That's where the
records.
restricted areas are.
You're inside the guard lines, though, dude.
Actually, this is the public park. This is public parking for the people.
You see that?
And
That's called a guard line right there, dude.
Yeah, and that says that all cars may be searched, but I'm not a vehicle.
Why do I have a car alarm going off?
I really don't know. It started going off. I have it recorded, so.
Okay, you got your ID on you?
I got Fourth Amendment, man.
Fourth Amendment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you do. I understand that, but there's also state law stating you have to provide form of identification.
Do you have a sergeant on duty, actually?
Yep, absolutely. I'll get him up here. Stand by.
And what's your name and badge number?
Deputy Case, badge number 130.
All right.
There is no law in Georgia that compels an individual to identify to an officer unless you have been legally detained. A lawful detainment requires that an officer has reasonable, articulable suspicion of criminal activity. In this situation, the officer has a report of an individual filming a public building from a parking lot that is open to the public. Therefore, he does not have reasonable articulable suspicion, and the auditor is not required to identify. For the record, even if there was a law in Georgia that stated that individuals had to identify to an officer just because the officer requests it, that law would be struck down as unconstitutional. The Constitution establishes the floor for your rights in these situations, and it has been clearly ruled that you are only required to identify when you have been legally detained.
What exactly are you doing up here anyway?
I'm just up here gathering information for a story.
For a story? What kind of story do you work for? A news article, or are you with the media or anything?
Freedom of press, sir.
Freedom of press? Usually you have to have some kind of badge or some kind of affiliation.
That's the First Amendment, sir.
I'm not telling you can't talk about your First Amendment. I'm just asking if you're affiliated with anybody.
No, sir. Freedom of press. Gathering content for a story.
Here's the issue that you're running across, and this is the reason why it's kind of bothering me a little bit. You're actually taking pictures of personal vehicles over there, though, too.
Well, that's not illegal. If they don't want them to see it, they shouldn't be in public. Anything you can see from public, you can record.
Not necessarily, because as far as Georgia consent law, it actually have to have both parties.
There's no
involved.
consent.
Yeah, there is.
Only in restricted areas.
Okay. How long you been studying law then?
A good while, sir.
A good while? So where'd you go to school at then?
I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions.
Okay. Well, I've got my lieutenant coming up here. He's going to pretty much tell you the exact same thing I told you already.
Well, you guys need to possibly get updated on the Constitution.
We're very well up to date on the Constitution.
That's good.
You also need to get updated up on the OCGA of annotated codes of Georgia as well too.
Well, I know nothing trumps the Constitution. So.
Well, I mean, state law. You still have to abide by state law.
I'm abiding by the law just now. I mean, I'm walking around recording a public facility. This is government funded.
Okay. Well, we'll let my lieutenant. He's on his way. He's from the south end.
This is consensual, right?
Huh?
Consensual, right?
Have I put you in handcuffs? Have I detained you in any way, shape, form, or fashion?
No, I'm just making sure. I'm getting it for the record.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just sitting here talking to you. And I actually asked you for your ID, and you still haven't presented any kind of ID or any form of identification of who you are.
Because I don't have to.
Yeah, actually, there's a state law stating that you have to actually provide some form of identification.
Absolutely not, sir.
You have to at least provide a name and date of birth.
This officer is completely clueless on the Georgia recording law, which is defined in Georgia Code Section 16-11-62. And it only criminalizes recording by a person who records in a clandestine manner, intentionally to overhear, transmit, or record or attempt to overhear, transmit, or record the private conversation of another which shall originate in any private place, or to record the activities of another which occur in any private place and out of public view. The auditor is not sneaking up to the windows under the cover of darkness. He's not using high-tech spy gear trying to listen in on what's going on inside of the building. He's merely using a camera in broad daylight to film the exterior of a public building from a publicly accessible parking lot. The auditor does a great job here of doing two things. First, making the correct assertion that nothing trumps the Constitution. State law does not override your constitutional rights, and in this instance, the officer fails to understand what the Constitution and the state law actually requires. The second thing that this auditor did right was clarify that this was a consensual conversation. That objectively makes it clear that he is not required to identify because he has not been detained.
Saying, oh, well, you gotta give me your ID, all this.
This is all explanatory, okay? All I'm trying to get you. When you're out in public, that's a public place. This is, like you said, and I agree with you, that this is a government-funded area. Okay?
Exactly, which means that's right.
But here's where it separates that. You've got a guard line right there.
Well, it's not closed,
This is actually state, federal, private property.
This isn't private property if it's government-funded.
You're not trying. You see, that's where everything gets twisted up.
Trespassing laws are based on reasonableness and typically revolve around if the alleged trespasser knew or should have known that access to the area was barred. So far in this encounter, the officer has taken exception to the act of being recorded, not to the physical presence of the auditor. If there were a guard bar that was closed in an area that was fenced off, then the officer would have had an argument that is reasonable that an individual should have known that it was inaccessible. Typically, an open gate extends an invitation to enter unless there are other surrounding circumstances. At this point, the officer calls his boss and is told that the auditor is allowed to film and to just let it go.
That's probably what you should do.
Alright. Alright then, I'm just going to stand out here and just kind of watch. Alright, see.
So what's the deal, sir?
Lieutenant's going to call the sheriff. Let him know.
Alright.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay. So just be clear, there's no restricted area signs over here. So I'm more than free to go over there, correct?
I'm not going to stop you.
Well, I'm just...
Alright, I'll walk with you, but I ain't going to stop you.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as it
I need to get
says...
some exercise anyway.
I hear that. But, yeah, as soon as I see a restricted area sign, I'll stop. I mean, I'm not going to go past any restricted areas.
And see, and honestly, dude, that's what I'm worried about. I just don't want you stepping over something and, like, trying to open doors. Because I don't know you from Adam's house cat, man. I don't know who you are. I've never dealt with you before. I just like to know who I'm dealing with.
I understand that.
But understand this. There is a law that states that you have to provide some form of identification.
No, sir, there's not.
Yes, there is.
That's my Fourth Amendment, sir, and I can almost guarantee you don't want to have to deal with the lawsuit.
Okay. You can sit there and argue it all day long, but I'm just telling you.
Well, if that were true, you would have got my ID.
The officer and the auditor meander around the property for several more minutes before the officer goes on his way after offering the auditor a bottle of water. This is an example, in my opinion, of ignorance instead of malice. The officer obviously does not know the law and is painfully uninformed, which is incredibly dangerous. Hopefully these types of encounters will help educate officers like this one to know what the law actually is. I believe Durango the Clown did a good job. He remained calm, he asserted his rights, and he did not cave to pressure to identify. Well done. Leave a comment letting him know how you think he performed and what you think he could improve upon in the future. And remember that no matter who you are, you have value and you have rights. Do not be afraid to use them, and we'll see you next time right here on Legal Dissent.